It's great to be with you folks and anybody who's listening to the recording. I'm going to share a little bit about who Confluent is, our journey into developing our partner strategy, and then landing on the experience platform within partner. Happy to answer any questions either during the presentation or after. I know I'm slotted, I think, for 35, 40 minutes, but I'm only going to use about 15 of that for the presentation and then open it up to questions. So who is Confluent? We're often confused with the company Confluent, who is a document management system within Salesforce. That's not who we are. We're a data streaming platform. We essentially take databases built on Kafka, and we connect them into real-time streaming data. And we have a very smooth solution for the finance industry, healthcare industry. Anything that's basically real-time data is where we excel. And as you can see across the bottom, we do engage with some of the largest companies out there. The cool thing about Confluent is we just turned 10 years old this year. And with that, we also just hit this last fiscal quarter, $1 billion in revenue. Our cloud run rate is 500 million. So we transitioned from a prem platform to a cloud platform, hybrid, and then we just acquired a company that allows you to bring your own. We sell into 40% of the Fortune 500s. And at the end of last year, we were cash flow neutral with Q1 turning into cash flow positive. So some really, really cool milestones that we hit in just this past year. But more than just bragging about the company, the reason I put this up here is that as Confluent turns 10 years old and they hit all these milestones, they also realize that adding to the direct sales force just isn't a scalable process and to continue this growth, which we're a publicly traded company. And so the street expects that we continue on this growth trajectory. So the first thing that we did is obviously we looked into really, by the way, I've been with Confluent for about 2 years now. Before I got there, Confluent had developed an ecosystem, but hadn't really made a commitment to the ecosystem. And there is a big difference between that. So this year, Confluent made a couple decisions in the ecosystem, and the first one was we put together a vision and a strategy, a true strategy around it. They restructured their entire, we call it the PI organization. So it's partner, innovation, and ecosystem. And so it's the PI organization. If you hear me say PI, I simply mean partner organization. But we put a mission statement in place, world-class partner structure that attracts, retains, and grows partner ecosystem that incentivizes partners to continuously invest in Confluent, resulting in relentless innovation. The two key points in there is continuous investment. So if you take a look at a partner program, it's great to have a document and incentives and just says, hey, if you sell for us, this is what we give you. But it's the entire sales cycle, and then companies always experience attrition, products evolve. So if they're not consistently reinvesting in you, then they'll fall behind. It'll be a moment in time that they're investing with you. The second one is relentless innovation. So a lot of our success relies upon the intellectual property development of our partners. So we have to make sure that we find a way to not only engage with them, but give them the tools to develop on our platform, because that's where the stickiness becomes. So what we did when we developed that vision is we kind of changed how we're going to engage with our partners themselves. So we have 4 groups of partners. These are pretty standard. By the way, a little background on myself. I did 18 years at Cisco. The last 6 years was developing their cloud and managed services program. Then I went to Boomi. Then I went to Click. Now I'm at Confluent. So I've done a lot of this for multiple companies that have been through different phases of their journey of going from box sales to perpetual licensing to contractual or ACV, and then consumption. So I've seen a bunch of these different types of models. And there's no silver bullet. Everybody asks me, what's a silver bullet? It always has a lot to do with what your ecosystem looks like and your back-end systems and the appetite of the executive team. So we have 4 groups of partners, systems integrators, cloud providers, and global systems integrators, and then ISVs. And we've got two formalized programs. One is for the systems integrators and one is for the ISVs. And our go-to-market, we have the pyramid, the classic pyramid. But the top one is for our GSIs, and that's a high-touch model, much like everybody has. The next one down is for what we refer to as kind of managed partners. And these are the partners that are making the largest commitment back to us. Not just from a revenue perspective, but going back to that continuously reinvesting as well as innovation. These are partners that are investing in us as well, developing connectors for our platform and stuff like that. The next one is the incubation layer, and the incubation is partners that we believe haven't quite crossed the chasm yet to making that commitment to us, but they're really prime targets too. They're set up, their structure looks right, their financial model matches what we're looking for. So we really believe that we can get them into the managed model. And then of course, just like every company, we have a long tail partners. And the long tail is a lot of digital communication, self-service, making it really easy for partners to find information. And the reason that that's important is as we get a little bit farther and talk about and partner, right, making this long tail model work really relies on a platform that allows partners to be able to engage with us in a very seamless way, find what they're looking for, and not have to have a lot of human interaction. The other thing that I'll share with you, and was anybody at Channel Focus a couple weeks ago out in California? I thought you looked familiar. Okay, Channel Focus is an industry event where they talk a lot about everything in the industry, how to engage with partners. If you're not familiar with it, I definitely recommend taking a look at it. But one of the things that came out of that event was you can't develop a platform before you have a strategy or even a program, right? You can't really develop a program before you have a strategy, which I've seen a lot of companies try to develop a program without a strategy. And that just becomes a nightmare. So the reason I walk you through kind of the way I am, who's Confluent, our partner program, and our incentives is because we had to have all that in place before we got to the platform side of things. The key of our partner program is services first. There's not a lot of margin on our products. And we can't give a lot away on the front end. So I know that there's a lot of very healthy incentives out there from our competitors about sourcing opportunities, sourcing deals. And we always get beat up, well, you know, how come you're not matching this? And I'll share in just a second our incentive model. And we actually have come quite a ways from a couple of years ago. But really, it's a services first model, right? And I know in the software industry, it's typically about 10 to 12 to 1. But we actually list out the services that a partner can invest in that makes them money and approximately how much money per wave, right? Now, the only one that potentially conflicts with our professional services organization is that very first wave, that 6X wave. Everything else beyond that are services that we do not provide that the partner provides. And by the way, as soon as they layer on an ISV, let's say this is an SI that's selling Confluent, as soon as they layer an ISV on top of this, like if we go into a deal and they include Mongo with that, all these services double, right? So our industry is a very services-rich industry. It's not a transactional type of a model. And this is our primary route to market when talking to partners. So our ideal profile of a partner is a partner that has a services practice, not a resale model. If you're purely in the resale game, then probably Confluent's not the most profitable partner out there. All right, so what are our incentives? Here they are. Not a lot of companies always share this as forthcoming as I will, but here you go. So basically, if you've sourced the opportunity, you get 3% of the referral of ACV. If you've submitted that through the partner portal, you get an additional 2% on top of that. Now, it may seem like kind of those are the same thing. An account executive can tag an opportunity with a partner on it, and they'll get the 3%. But that doesn't mean that they submit it through the partner portal. The partner portal kind of takes the question whether or not the partner really sourced it out of the equation. So we really, really try to encourage everybody to submit opportunities through the portal. Now, look, I realize that there are partners out there that just will never do this, and that's fine. That's why we offer the other method. But we want them to do it through the partner portal, and it's really important that that process be seamless and easy for our partners to know how to do that. The third one is we're really in the mode of capturing new logos. So we tag on an extra 3% on top of that. These are all stackable, by the way. An extra 3% on top of that if it's considered a net new logo to us. And then here's something I kind of feel passionate and very proud of. We are a consumption-based incentive company. The challenge that we have is that we can't really tag exactly what partner has influenced or contributed towards the consumption. So the closest thing we can come to is what partner is providing the service. So we actually incentivize the partner for selling their own brand of service. So not only do they get the 10 to 12x on top of the sale that I showed on the previous slide, but then we also pay them to sell their own brand of service. And that did take some work with our sales teams to make sure that we minimized compensation conflicts on our AE side, but we actually do pay partners to sell their own brand of service. If they subcontract from us, then we also pay them the 5%. All we ask for them is to send us a redacted statement of work. We don't need to see the pricing that they're charging the end customer, but we do want to see that the work is related back to Confluent. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the right-hand side of this slide, but essentially there's a new buying model out there for companies that kind of are looking to try it, $0 commitment. So if there's no ACV to calculate off of, we have these baseline incentives that we can provide. So now we've got what Confluent is, our partner strategy, and how we incentivize our partners. Now we think about how do we foster those long tail partners as well as how do we foster those long tail partners as well as the next wave of partners to become managed? How do we make sure that they have all the tools necessary to self-service themselves? Question.
Sorry, I hope it's okay. Last slide for the incentives you provide. I know your consumption business. Do you handle renewals through your partners? So how do you accomplish one? I'm just curious if you don't mind sharing that. I've had a lot of questions from customers about, we have a lot of focus on new logo acquisition through partners, but that renewal and maintenance question comes up a lot.
A lot. The answer is the next wave of modification I'm making to the program will include incentivizing partners to not only renew, but also expand that renewal too. Probably heavier on the expansion port because that obviously impacts NRR. So that's not built into our program just yet today. Yeah, I do have examples of where that is built in, and it is the right thing to do. If a partner is staying engaged and they're, feeding, nurturing that end customer, they should automatically get tagged on that renewal. So it became a decision. Okay, so now we've got the managed partners, and by the way, we're north of 1,000 partners total with our ecosystem, well north of 1,000 partners, and probably only about 100 of those are managed, right? So that means 900 plus or more than that are what we consider long tail. But those partners drive almost 60% of our registered revenue every year. So it's kind of weird, right? We're only nurturing 40%. The problem is that the 40% is from the consistent partners. That remaining 60 can come from different partners every quarter, right? So we had to figure out how do we make sure that we can engage with these long tail partners, give them an environment where they can be self-sufficient, and not only that, but well, I'll get into that in just a second. So when we took a look at the industry, these are kind of the choices that we saw out there. We saw in partner, Salesforce, Zift One, or can we just build it in-house? In my previous company, we built it in-house. It worked okay. People like it because there's a lot of control built in with that. The challenge that I find is that the IT department always comes back and says, well, what do you want? Well, I know what I want today, but I don't know what I want tomorrow, and I don't always know what all my competition is doing. So can you go out and tell me what my competition is doing? And IT's going, no, I can build what you ask for, but tell me what you want. Well, I have a job to do, and that job is making sure I can stay on top of the partner programs and the journeys. I can't go out and inventory all the portals. So building in-house, while seems very attractive at first, it's a snapshot in time. It doesn't give you longevity, right? Salesforce is kind of the same thing. Very elegant integration into their platform. Your IT department already knows how to work with Salesforce. Hey, we can do it. There's going to be additional licensing fees associated with it, and they're going to say, well, what do you want? Well, tell me what's going on. Tell me what's happening out in the industry. Tell me what the newest, latest thing is that I need to have to keep up with my competition, right? And Salesforce, again, they have some consultants that'll help you with there, but most of that service is pushed out to their partner ecosystem. So it might be hit or miss whether or not that partner has a good understanding of what's happening with other partners. And then you have Zift One. I was I used Zift One for about 3 years at one point in my career. It was good. It was a good platform. You logged in. The administrative experience was good, but it wasn't as dynamic as what Impartner's administrative interface does. So the way that I run my partner portal is, if I have an enablement section, the enablement team is responsible for keeping that updated. The marketing section, the marketing team is responsible for keeping that updated. I keep all the partner program and incentive sections updated, and so on and so forth. The problem that I had with Zift One was it wasn't as user-friendly as some of the other interfaces. So there was a pretty large learning curve with that, and there wasn't as much as control and functionality. So at the end of the day, I kind of looked at what platform could really foster the long-tail environment that I was looking for, what company could show me what I needed in the future, not just a snapshot in time for today, which one I could hand off to other departments and they could pick up and easily use from the user interface and administer. And then, of course, cost is always a factor in this. So I put together an ROI model. I did this at a different company, but it applies to Confluent as well. And I just looked at, okay, if we were to keep this in-house, and that was actually one of the cheapest options, right? If we keep this in-house, how much will it cost? And we essentially went out to each organization and we asked them, okay, so how much time are your employees trying to find information? Or if we're keeping it in-house, how much time has your department investing in keeping this updated? The security team, how much time are you testing stuff? And we just assigned an hourly wage to each one of these. And then the last one is, look, I'm a big believer of planning, right? So can you put in there partner growth plans, give my partner visibility to it, have it link it back to Salesforce with the targets? Can the sales leader pull up and say, hey, what part of my quota is allocated? And then of that allocation, who's falling behind or who's ahead, so that they can get a real-time kind of snapshot. And when I went back to, first it was the head of sales, because ultimately sales is the one who's approving this budget. Then I had to go through the technical team and kind of convince them, look, your time is better, technical team, the IT team, the Salesforce team, your time is better spent working on internal logic and our own sales issues, and not about trying to build me a portal of what I'm looking for. And at the end of the day, when I did this ROI, it easily came up that investing in a PRM platform was far better than investing in it internally. I did work the numbers, so it was just enough to cover Impartner, but not enough to cover Salesforce, just so you know. Taking a look at what our partner portal looks like. So you have a main landing page, and off the main landing page, you just have essentially 7 large icons right at the top. And this is your navigation page. Now there's another menu bar above that for more granular navigation, but those are primarily the 5 or 6 areas that you go to. I always want stuff to be 1 to 2 clicks away from what the partner's looking for, right? So if for some reason they have to go more than that, I find that I lose them. So the first thing that they do is they get on the landing page, they see exactly their health metrics. Where am I from a partner program standpoint? How far away am I from making it to the next tier? Where are my gaps? And then right below it, it shows some information around the deals and some of the promotions, like recently announced promotions that we've launched.
Activities, because that's always one of my pitches is you've got to drive behavior. So I love that. How'd you pick those? And then
Yeah, again, the ones across the top, if you take a look at what was being used most frequently or what people were having problems trying to find that we needed them to find, we put those across the top. And I think deal registration is like the second one in, right? Leads and deal registration. So we all know that most partners are going in there for that. The dashboard below directly relates back to the metrics of the program. So we just wanted everybody who logged in to know exactly where they stood with the partner program. To give you an idea of where we get these metrics, it's dovetailed right into Salesforce. So all this data lives inside of Salesforce. Even the certifications, tracking and everything, we pushed it into Salesforce, and then from Salesforce, we display it on the dashboard. So what I'm going to show you is once I land on the landing page, I click on these icons across the top, and these are the next pages that get displayed. The next one is the opportunity dashboard. It shows me all the opportunities that I have that are in the funnel being worked. So these are deals that have been registered and accepted and currently actively worked. And we even show like what stage they're in, approval date, last modified. So we have all this information, their total deal opportunities, and so on and so forth. So they can see exactly how many deals and what stage those deals are at. The next one is the leads dashboard. They submit a lead here. We have a SLA for 48 hours. A lead has to be acted on within 48 hours of being submitted. So what happens is as soon as a lead comes into the portal, it gets pushed over to our inbound SDR team. The SDR team then makes a decision on how to route it and what to do. Journeys are one of my favorite things that InPartner offers that I think are a little bit underutilized. Excuse me. That are underutilized. So we have a lot of journeys set up. And so, for example, you're seeing one here that says, hey, you have to update your profile. Let us know that you're still with the company. Let us know if your title has changed. Do you want to opt in or opt out to receiving communications? Just basically make sure that your information is accurate, and anything they change in the portal then gets pushed into our Salesforce system as well. We have journeys for new hires when they first log into the portal. Hey, walk me through the portal, kind of give me a quick demo. We have journeys for enablement, how to get certifications. We have journeys for the ISV team. So when an ISV logs in and they want to develop a connector, there's certain steps that show them, okay, this is the documentation to our SDK API kit, that type of stuff. So we have a lot of different journeys that we can assign an individual depending upon their profile. The next one is an example of our SOW submission page. So the SOW page, again, I mentioned that we give them 5% for selling their own brand of service. We ask that they just simply fill this out, upload a redacted version of their SOW. As soon as the deal closes and the services dates line up, then we send out a payment based off of ACV. It's not based off of their services. They could easily game that. It's based off of the ACV. And then here's an SSO over into our LMS system. Again, very fluid, right? They click on enablement, goes right into the LMS system. There's no dual sign-on, and then they can start their one of their certification or accreditation journeys from there. It's on the tip of my tongue. Can't remember right now. But we are switching. So the answer I'm going to give you right now is going to be different in about 90 days from now. Oh, I can't. Actually, it'll probably be on my next slide. So not only did I talk about a snapshot in time, but where are we going with the platform? There's a lot of things that we want to do that we have to work with our IT team to make sure that we're set up for the future. And again, I rely heavily on the InPartner team to tell me what I need to be doing, right? What am I missing? What are people doing in the industry that's being received extremely well that I'm not thinking about? And I can't tell you how many times I've shot off an email to Dave or Mark or somebody in the company or Lindsay, my AE, who's fantastic, by the way, plug. And just say, I'm thinking about this. How are other companies doing it or considering it? And And they also have a leadership forum, by the way, that's second to none. And it just basically connects me with my peers in the industry so that when I get stuck on something or we're thinking about going in a direction, how have my peers solved this? Or what are they thinking about doing? I'm sure everybody in this room probably were all similar in our titles, but if we're not asking each other what's going on in the industry and leaning on each other, then that's a huge tool that's being missed. But Partner has a platform where we can all connect and get together and ask these questions. So we've developed kind of a longer term journey. All the boxes in purple are things that we haven't deployed yet that we're planning on deploying. One of the things that I want to make sure I point out is, okay, I talked a lot about Partner, but we have a ton of ecosystem tools that we've assembled to make all this work. So we have Glean, which is kind of a ubiquitous search engine, Slack channels. We also Crossbeam and Workspan. We share leads directly with the CRMs, more so with Workspan than Crossbeam. So those are fully integrated. Let's see. We're changing our billing platform to Metronome. And like I mentioned before, we're a consumption-based company. And one of the things is with resellers, they're fiscally liable for that contract. But I can't just tell them, hey, you're liable, but I'm not going to tell you how much you're liable for. So I have to give them a dashboard of what their customers are consuming. So we're in the process of figuring out, hey, how do I show in my dashboard what the consumption of their customers are? The question was asked earlier about incentivizing on renewals. One of the things I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm notifying the partners 180, 90, 60 days before renewals, giving them the opportunity to renew it. If before 30 days they still haven't taken action or logged notes in, then my direct team is going to go out and try to renew that if the partner hasn't made any effort. So providing a CPQ and sizing tools. So those are all the things that we're going to eventually get to within the portal. Some of that has additional costs, not necessarily within Partner, but other tools that I'll need to incorporate. One of the things that I try to explain to people, especially within my own company, is, look, Partner isn't the end-all be-all to the entire system. It's exactly like Salesforce. And then you have all these other plugins to make it work phenomenal, or other software platforms that connect direct in. It seems seamless. It all seems into this one interface. But the reality is you're going to all these different locations. And that's kind of how our portal works too. That eventually when you get to this dashboard, it may or may not be a dashboard provided by Partner. It may be another company that we're looking at. It may be Metronome. I don't really know at this point. So all the things on the right-hand side of the slide are the enhancements that we're going to be working on for the next 18 months. But the one thing I want to call out, and the single biggest, I think, experience change that we're going to be implementing is generative AI, and implementing a bot that allows a partner no longer to have to search and find and look for things, but basically just as soon as they log in, they go to the AI bot, they say, hey, show me my top 10 deals from last quarter. Hey, show me my current status within the partner program. Show me all the deals I've ever closed with Confluent based on this product line. So I want the partner to start to really have a completely different experience based on generative AI within the portal. That's complex. Being able to provide the data, trust the data, security, and I will tell you, my IT team isn't quite there yet as far as knowing exactly how to protect all that data. So they're a little bit concerned when I say I want to roll this out and how quickly I want to roll it out. I'd like to do it by Q1 of next year. I don't know that they're quite on board with that.